So I have a pet peeve, but it doesn't control me. You know, I can quit any time. I didn't come to this pet peeve, which is I'm a curmudgeon when it comes to grammar and usage. I didn't come to this naturally. My parents were educated, but very nice people. They would never correct the way anybody spoke. And I apparently was a nice kid. That's what I always was told. But then the bad habits started, like many bad habits, at the University of Massachusetts, at college. I went to the University of Massachusetts, and I very clearly remember my freshman year roommate. She got me started on this bad habit because, unlike me, she had gone to one of the best prep schools in the country, and she knew grammar, usage, and spelling back and forth. And she was kind of a wild woman. Her idea of fun was going out into the night with a pen and finding signs. Like I remember one that said a professor had written auditoriums with an arrow, and she grabbed her pen and said, "Auditoria is the proper plural form." So then I majored in journalism. And if you are newspaper readers, you may be surprised to know that newspaper reporters are supposed to have this style book memorized. And I did that, only much later deciding that the Oxford comma was important, but I digress. So I think my addiction, my pet peeve issue became worse when I moved to Lancaster County. When my son was in third grade, I went to school to pick him up. This is a true story, I swear. I went to pick him up in his classroom and he wasn't there. And then the teacher saw me looking for him. The teacher, college graduate, I won't say the name of the school. The teacher looked at me and pointed and said, "He should have went that way." No. I still remember the trauma of that moment. I realized it was up to me to teach my children. That if they were going to learn English, it was going to be from me, not their teachers. So I pushed hard, conjugations, pronouns, objective pronouns, subjective pronouns. You guys, you've got to learn this. And at first they were okay with it, but then they got to be older. And at one point, my son said to me, "Mom, I could come up to you and say, me and you are going to go smoke crack, and you would totally focus on my use of the objective pronoun." And besides, Mom, language changes. If it weren't for that, we'd all be speaking Latin. But I was not persuaded. What do teenagers know after all? I continued with my pet peeve. And in general in life, I am a big-time liberal, feminist, anti-racist. But when it came to language, I am right there with President Nixon's former speechwriter, William Safire. I mean, his on-language columns in the New York Times I just love them. I agreed with every word. In fact, recently I was at my desk and I was reading an email and I thought of creep, and I thought, we need a new committee. Instead of creep, it's got to be Committee Against Incorrigible Apostrophe Abuse. My colleague said, "Becky, just think of that Elsa song in the movie, Let It Go." And I looked up that song, and that's not what it's about. Then the other day, I was listening to NPR, and a man after my own heart, Ben Dreyer, was on the air. He's just published this book, Dreyer's English, an utterly correct guide to English, or to grammar and usage. And he was talking to another one of my idols, Terry Gross. And he said, "Well, I don't want to come off as some sort of ferocious gatekeeper. And I said to myself, what's wrong with being a ferocious gatekeeper? Me and you, we can do it together. Thank you so much.